Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne production. Now available on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Talk to me about, when I'm talking to you and I'm talking to Mark, and sometimes I'll hear a little bit of buff. How close are the two? And because sometimes they're distinctly separate, sometimes they meld together.
I really believe in all wrestling, Steve, that I really believe with all my heart. My opinion is all wrestlers are basically an exaggerated version of their real self. I really believe that. I believe that Ric Flair is an exaggerated version of his real self on TV. I believe that Mark Bagwell, Buff Bagwell is an exaggerated version of Mark Bagwell. And I believe that, that's most of us. I really believe that. And whether that's right or wrong, I can't say. That's my opinion. But I can tell you for my personal self, Mark Bagwell is, the Buff Bagwell character is an exaggerated version of Mark.
I would concur with that. But let me talk to you about something, some neck injuries. Obviously we have different neck injuries, but we have neck issues nonetheless. But as we speak right now, how are you feeling on a physical standpoint? Because I know you do need a shoulder surgery. What's going on with the shoulder?
Well, the shoulder's shot, and we're really trying to be real careful with that because it's just, like I said, once the shoulder goes down, that's going to be, 12 to, 3 to 6 months out.
What do you need done with it?
Believe it or not, it's going to be a total shoulder replacement. It's going to be the full deal.
What did you do to it, dude? I had a rotator cuff rebuilt about 3 years ago. It was 8 screws, 2 staples to relocate my biceps tendon. And believe it or not, as you're about to find out, or as you already know because of your doctor's visits, the shoulder is a very complex joint. It's a ball joint. So, man, I came back from mine 100%. What's the deal with the total shoulder replacement?
Well, that's what I thought too, Steve. I was really, my first doctor I went to, he was like, hey, man, we make 3 little arthroscopic holes, and we go in there and fix it. Well, the more I didn't like my doctor, I started feeling some bad vibes with my doctor. Something was up, and I just didn't feel comfortable. Bedside manners, whatever you want to call it, vibe, something I didn't feel. So I started searching around a little bit and come across a guy that, of course, everybody wants Dr. Andrews out of Birmingham.
Yep.
But this guy is, he only works with high-profile guys. He's the head of Emory sports medicine field, and his name, believe it or not, is Dr. X. So I just kind of liked his name. I was like, hey, I like this guy, man, Dr. X. I mean, oh, my God, I love it. So anyway, I go see, believe it or not, Dr. X. And his name was, like Exonery or something like that. But it genuinely, they even said, that's how they called, the nurses called him Dr. X. His staff called him Dr. X, everything. So I get there to go see Dr. X. We go in, and to do so, I literally had to play the superstar gimmick because he don't do regular people. He does high-profile people. So we had to play the Buff Bagwell character and WWE superstar and, hope it got through, and them Google me and see that I was still some kind of a star in some sort. And, and yes, I was, and I fit into their criteria and everything. So everything turned out real well, and we got the appointment. So we go see him, and we're sitting there waiting, thinking we're going to hear, some kind of, scope surgery. He comes in, and he said, he goes, hey, man, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but he goes, this shoulder, there's nothing to fix. I go, what do you mean? He said, your cartilage is completely gone. You're bone on bone. And I was like, is that what I'm hearing when I'm hearing that noise? And the problem, Steve, it ain't that I can't do certain things. The pain level is at a 10 at all times. And I, from people that know me like you do even recently, I don't take pain medication anymore. I don't do any kind of pain medication. I haven't drank in 2 years. It was forced upon me. But at the same time, I found out that things were going good for me, and I stuck with it and did the right thing. But I was glad it was forced upon me, and my next walk was going to be prison. So I sobered up and did the right thing and did everything I was supposed to do. In the middle of that journey is when I found out it was just time to do the right thing. But, during this I found out my cartilage is gone. And I was like, I said, I don't want to take pain medication for no reason. And he said, well, do this. He said, make sure, for starters, your cartilage is gone, so you've only got one option. So there's no reason to be depressed about it. There's no reason to be upset about it. You've got one option, and that is a total shoulder replacement. And so I wasn't depressed about it because of him giving me, there is no option for the pain. The pain is that bad, Steve. It's unbelievable. And so he goes, let me ask the next question. He goes, how have you been able to keep your body size? And I said, crying on every rep I do. And he goes, I was wondering how you possibly kept that much size on you. I'm 230. I'm in real good shape right now. I'm real lean. I'm big. I'm tight. I'm hard. And I feel real good about myself. But he could see, he goes, man, you've really had to really go there. And I said, sir, it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I said, not knowing what you just told me. He said, well, now that you know, he said, you're not going to be able to flat bench or military press no more. And I went, what? And he said it again, and I said, I ain't been able to flat bench or military press for 5 fucking years. I said, are you kidding me?
You're not going to mess them. You've already been not doing them.
Shit, I couldn't do that 5 years ago, bro. So he laughed. He goes, well, in that case, bro, you're good to go. And there's 2 doctors that are the best at this. And then he got me with one of them. So I go in mid-November and get this thing done.
Dude, let me ask you something. The world we come from is it's hard to get insurance. I remember back in the day, man, with WCW, I never had any insurance. I just always figured if I got hurt in the ring, then they was going to take care of my injuries. And for a long time, I mean, that's what I did. That's what I did during my WWF career. The whole time, I've never had a personal insurance policy. I'll just, if I got hurt, they would pay for it. Now I have insurance through Screen Actors Guild. So what kind of insurance are you using on this goddamn thing?
Well, thank God, my wife actually has insurance through her company, and that's what saved me with a car wreck we haven't talked about either.
We're going to get to that.
Right, when the car wreck, thank God she had the Aetna, insurance through the shoot 9-to-5 job, and by us not having 9-to-5 jobs, we don't get that insurance thing. And through WCW, we always had that, that little stickler in there that, like, I think the first 2 months they pay you full, the next month they pay you half, and the next month you don't get paid at all. And I think it was something like that toward the end. And but which you can't blame them. But at the same time, they didn't have no medical really way to take care of you because we were subcontractors, and a lot of people don't realize that. But we were just subcontractors. Now, how they drug test subcontractors, I still ain't quite figured out, but they figured out a way around it for sure. But yeah, so how I've got around that was my wife having a shoot insurance policy, and
you're covered.
Yeah, I'm covered.
Well, goddamn, let's go back because, your first neck injury, and speaking of the one that happened when you were taking the gimmick off the top, you're on Scott Steiner's shoulders. Here comes Rick with the Bulldog off the top. It was April 22nd, 1998. I watched this on YouTube, and it was a little bit of a botched move. Your head just slipped out, and then, you with the forward momentum, top of your forehead catches his upper, rear shoulder and jams your neck back. Now, if you've ever had a neck injury, you can see that, man, this ain't good right off the get-go. To any normal person, you think, maybe he jammed his neck. Dude, this fucked you up seriously. And here was the things that ran through my head, Mark, when I watched this injury go down, and I watched it over and over again. You laid there. They tried to continue with an angle. They tried to continue with the angle. They didn't know you were hurt. And so, it was just a reverse pin. Scotty came in or whatever, pulled you over Rick. And then they got out of the ring, and they finally realized that, dude, you're hurt for a shoot. And so they bring this little shitty-ass goddamn stretcher down there. It's a gurney, but it's one that you sit on. And bless Scott Norton's heart. That guy's strong as a gorilla.
How long did he mess with that thing?
Scott Norton is trying his damnedest to get this motherfucker to collapse so they can, put you on it and get you the fuck out of there. There's Doug Dillinger. I mean, and this is 98, dude, and that was almost yesterday, but it was was a stone age as far as medicine goes with respect to the business of professional wrestling. First of all, take me through this fucking move. It was no malice intended. It was a complete accident. What did you feel? What were you thinking? Because when I got dropped on my head, I heard a big gong go off. I knew I was fucked, but I didn't panic. I never went out, and I remained razor sharp. I tried to finish the match, but I always knew what was going on. But I swore to God, for a minute there, I thought I would never move another arm or leg again.
Well, yeah,
Tell me about your experience.
My question before I go off on tell mine, did you ever say the word 1,000% I'm paralyzed?
Oh, yeah. I thought, I'll tell you what immediately came to my mind was I thought I was the next Christopher Reeve.
Oh, my God. I'm so glad. I mean, I wish you wouldn't have said that, but I still use it and you still believe me. I swear to God on my life, here's what happened. Boom. He misses me. I try to make up for it because it's live TV. The back thing, you explained it perfectly. I hit his back, my neck goes back. And anybody that knows most neck injuries wouldn't think nothing about it at all. But if you know bodies, you can see my neck goes way back too far. And I literally was laying in the mat, Steve, and I was suffocating.
Oh.
I was literally suffocating. And as soon as I got hit, I mean, instantly, I've been around enough to know that this wasn't a stinger. This wasn't a whoops-a-daisy, you're hurt.
Yep.
This was you are paralyzed. So as soon as Rick rolled me over and I could see his eyes, I said, I'm paralyzed. And Rick rolled me on over. And if you roll, and this is what I want everybody to watch if they watch this tape back, if you roll a dead person over that's on his stomach, his legs are going to cross. You understand what I mean?
Right.
Like if you got a guy laying there dead with his legs straight ahead and you roll him over, his legs are going to cross if he's dead. So if you're paralyzed or you're dead, your legs are going to end up crossed. They're not going to end up side by side. They're going to cross because you're dead or paralyzed. So when they rolled me over, my legs were crossed, and God bless Vincent, he starts trying to slide me out of the ring. And finally, I get Norton to tell him, no, I'm really hurt. Well, before that, though, Scotty comes in like a ball of fire, and the finish was Rick goes to cover me. Scott hits Rick with a chair, puts me on top. 1, 2, 3, NWO wins. Well, he hears me, I'm talking, I'm hurt, hits Rick with a chair, Rick gets off. He goes just to put my arm on Rick, slides out, and my arm just flops back to me, and they count 1, 2, 3 with two guys, both pinned.
Well, here's the thing, but there wasn't a pin, and it was
right.
First of all, it was a bad deal, and no one. It was just you were shoot injured. Nobody knew, and then the referee just trying to go by what the plan was, counts a fall, which you didn't have him covered.
Nobody was covered.
Y'all were laying beside each other.
Yeah, right beside each other, shoulder to shoulder. He counts 1, 2, 3 because of panic, I guess. And back then, our announcers, I'm not sure about y'all's guys, Steve, our announcers did not look at TV. They played it like watching a football game. They called it as they saw it, which came across better on TV. So when it happened, they really didn't know if it was part of the show or anything else because they call it as they see it. 25-10 touchdown for a football game. And in wrestling, same thing. It comes across and sounds better if they're shooting with it. So they didn't know what the storyline was. So, of course, once they see I was hurt and they're trying to play it off and Craig Leathers comes down and that stupid-ass gurney thing comes down and they don't know what to do. And Norton, God bless Norton, he's trying to get it fixed.
Dude, what are you thinking when you can't breathe at this point?
Well, at this stage, I am 100% convinced, and that's a big, big statement. I'm convinced I'm paralyzed. And that's just like you said, where my mind went, and I swear to God, I'm not saying it because you said it, I swear to God, my mind went, you know what? You can do what Christopher Reeve is doing. You can go to schools. I really turned a negative situation into a positive situation in a matter of seconds. And the reason why I did that, Steve, is because I swore I would never, ever ask God why. And I never did, laying on my back. I wanted to ask him why so bad, but I swear to you I didn't. I said, God, if this is your plan, I'm lost. I don't understand, but I'm going to go with it best I can. So I did not ask him why. And as I'm talking to him and kind of figuring out the Christopher Reeve thing, and something else nobody knows, I just had bought an $85,000 lot to start building my house that day. So I'm thinking, where's that money going to go? And my Harley and Christopher Reeves and Paralyzed and oh my God. And hey, and it was so surreal, Steve, not one tear came down my face. And it wasn't because I'm tough. It was because it was just so surreal, there was no reason to cry.
Yeah, but also you're in kind of a shock state. I mean, because you don't know what shit to wind your watch, and it's total confusion. You can't move nothing. You're very confused. Obviously, it's overwhelming is what it is.
It's very overwhelming, and that's what I did. I was like, well, about that time, as I'm kind of going through my little spill, the trainer goes, your left hand's moving. And I said, what? I looked down. At that stage, it was like hot water came up my left arm and stopped at my shoulder. And then my left leg filled up with hot water and stopped right at my core. And my right leg, same thing, and right arm, same thing. If you watch it back, I feel at my core several times because it hadn't come back yet, and I'm wondering why I can't feel my core. Now, during this time, I'm getting pinned down to a table and begging somebody to give me some information, and nobody's giving me no information. Finally, a guy gets in my ear and goes, with a neck injury, bro, they're not going to say anything. Just your best bet is just to wait to get to the hospital. But I can move my fingers and my toes, and I didn't stop. So I got to the ambulance, got to the hospital. Sting, Luger, Bischoff rode with me. We got there, and they wheeled me out, and I was all drooped over in the wheelchair. And as soon as I got to the waiting room, I popped up with a double bicep. And they were like, oh, my God. Well, what happened? Why are you okay? And at that stage, they realized I had a bruised spinal cord. It's actually what medically happened to me. At 3-4, my cervical disc hit my spinal cord, bruised it, which made me feel like I was completely paralyzed. Once the swelling went down, I was able to move everything, but they had to move that out of my spinal cord, put my hip in place, 2 titanium plates, 8 screws at 3, 4, and 6, 7.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Though we're apart these days, we're sharing more, and Geico would just like to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your savage dance moves. Thanks for sharing your DIY haircut fails. Thanks for sharing your inner lip sync star. Now it's Geico's turn to share too with the Geico Give Back, a 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. And because Geico's committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for info and eligibility. So what was the damage done? Bruised spinal cord, but structurally, why did they have to put that material in? Was there anything broken?
Nothing. They call it a broken neck because there was a few chips here and there and a fracture here and there, but really was your neck broke and all that? No. It just, they're able to call it a broke neck because a few of the chips are broken off, but really it'd be called like a herniated disc, I think, probably more than anything. But that herniated disc, which is it's called a cervical disc, in between every vertebrae you got. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's a
6,
spacer.
7.
Yeah.
There's a little spacer. That little spacer is what hit my cord and almost severed it. And instead of severing it, it hit it and just bruised it.
But here's the thing. When you bruise a spinal cord, it creates a white spot. And from now on, if you go get an MRI, you'll see that white spot where that injury happened. So I still have a little bit of neurological issues from mine. Do you have anything that sustains from that injury?
Knock on wood, man. I am a machine in the gym minus my shoulder. Nothing hurts with my shoulder, my neck-wise. My shoulder kills me, but, nothing with my neck. Did you do cadaver or did you do your hip bone?
I did hip bone, man. They said hip bone. If you if you use a bone bank, because I bet they told you that the most painful part of it's going to be the bone they take out of your hip.
Brother, back when I did it, what year did you do yours?
Man, 2000.
Well, 98, which ain't too far off, of course. It was flat out, absolutely a no cadaver. So a lot of doctors, by God, just wouldn't do it. So, and I'm glad they didn't, because your bone is going to heal with your bone better than cadaver bone's going to heal with your neck bone. So I was all over it. 6 months later, I'm totally crippled, limping around, and everybody's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Well, I broke my neck." And they're like, "Well, why are you limping?" And I'm like, "Well," and I'm trying to explain it to them, but the hip thing was much more to get over than the neck thing. But, man, long story short, I came back great from it. It felt great, and it was time to move on, Well,
let's move on and get off that injury, because I want to talk about living fast. Because when I met you back in the day, man, I just thought you were some clean-cut kid. And then when did you start delving into one of the biggest issues which permeates our world, and that's the pain pills. It's the muscle relaxers. It's the sleeping pills. It's the tools or the crutches or vices, whatever you want to call them, to keep you on the road and get you through another day. Sometimes it's needed. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just out of complete boredom. But all of a sudden, you started running real fast.
Well, I'll be honest with you, and there's only a few people that I can tell this story to and they believe, but I'm going to tell the one that I hope everybody believes. And that is, I've only got about 4 people that believe it, that know the whole story. So I'm going to tell the one I hope everybody believes, and that is, I have severe sleep apnea. I did not know I had severe sleep apnea back in the day. So I would wake up and I felt horrible. So I would sedate to go to the gym. I would sedate to go to bed. I would sedate to get to the ring. I would sedate because I didn't feel good. So the word sleep apnea, nobody knew what it was back then. It wasn't a word yet. So once I got diagnosed with sleep apnea, then I was able to clean this stuff up. But back before I was able to clean it up, it created, long story short, sleep apnea created an unbelievable drug addict. And it was me. And it was a regimented drug addict. And it consisted of, I'm very, very OCD, and I'm very regimented. I took 25 Lortabs and 40 Somas every single day with a case of beer for 5 years. And I don't care if you believe me, if people out there believe me, I swear to God on my life, as regimented as my breathing, I did it that way. I had the way I did them. I did 8 and 16. And my parents would hide my pills in my house. And I'd go find the other. I said, "Where's round 2 at?" And I'd go get my other 8 and other 16. And I had 3 parties a day. So I was right at 40 Somas and right at 25 Lortabs a day, every day for 5 years.
All right, before we get into that, let me go back to the sleep apnea issue. I have sleep apnea as well, obstructive, because of deviated septum, broke nose, all the garbage, you know about it. I wear a CPAP machine. Are you wearing your CPAP? I got a ResMed. What are you running?
8 years, 55 times an hour I quit breathing. So I'm not sure what number they set it on, but my number when I did my sleep study was 55 times an hour I quit breathing.
Yeah, mine was crazy too. But see now, man, like I can't really sleep during the daytime just because my system's all fucked up. But dude, when nighttime comes, and I've talked about this, I've told people I got sleep apnea, and I've recommended any guys that wake up doing a loud choking thing, whether you're a skinny dude or you got a big neck or you're a fat dude. If you're feeling tired and shit, or your wife's waking you up asking what the fuck's wrong, you need to go get a sleep study test.
The biggest misconception is everybody thinks people with sleep apnea are overweight. It's got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it, and you know that by having it now. It's got nothing to do with your weight. Sleep apnea attacks skinny people, fat people, regular-sized people. It does not matter. It is a breathing thing that is factually cutting off oxygen to your heart and to your brain. So when I had sleep apnea, as long as I had it, what happened to me was atrial fibrillation. From having atrial fibrillation, they had to go in and cardiovert me, which is clear, boom, and they can do 3 per time, and they got to do the whole process over. The very first boom, that comes back, my heart's back to rhythm, and my best friend is my sleep out machine. Everywhere I go, I take it with me. I do not go to sleep without it. It is my best friend. I love it. I feel tremendous the day of. I do not go to sleep without it. I don't take a nap without it. It is my savior, bro. If I would have known that, I really believe, Steve, and that's the catch I meant a minute ago, is what I meant. I really believe I wouldn't have created the drug addict I created if I would have known the sleep apnea.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't running up down the road with the guys and someone says, hey, man, you got anything? And you say, what are you talking about? Because I'd never seen a pain pill till I got in the business. And so one thing leads to another. But I mean,
it went from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 to 25. But it literally did.
Dude, how do you function taking 16 Somas and 8 Lortabs at a time? And these are some crazy mixtures.
I believe with all my heart, Steve, that my sleep apnea being as bad as it was, at 8 and 16, I was almost normal. Now, after that, I would lose a little bit of slur of the words and, a little bit as he messed up and that kind of stuff. But I was a high tolerance, first of all, and then with 8 and 16, I was able to feel pretty normal with sleep apnea the way it was and kind of felt like I was okay and could function and go to the gym. And I was keep in mind, bro, when you saw me on TV.
A Soma is a muscle relaxer. So
I know,
how would it amp you up?
It amped me up. I could paint a house on 5 Somas, man. You give me 5 Somas and a beer, and I paint your whole house.
Well, here's the thing. You're talking about beers because you were never a drinking guy. And we had this phone call before we started talking on the phone. All of a sudden now you're taking all these pills and you're drinking a case of beer, but you're drinking a beer just to help the pills kick.
Just to help. And I told you this last time I talked to you. I literally, as soon as the buzz was over, I quit drinking the beer and would put the beer in the refrigerator, and there'd be half a Coors Light in the beer in the refrigerator just for tomorrow morning, so I had alcohol to kick the pills in. Because I didn't care about the pills, about the beer, I cared about the pills and kicking the pills in. So the alcohol was easy for me to beat because alcohol was not what I was chasing. I was chasing the buzz for the pills. So when I was able to beat the pills, it was easy to beat the alcohol.
Now, when you're in this altered state, what did all these pills do to change your personality or change who Marcus Bagwell was, just as a human being? And then let's move that into the performance inside the ring.
I think that people didn't tell me at first, and I thought I was getting by with doing it, and I think everybody was just too scared to tell me because I was paying everybody's bills and I was supporting the family. And so nobody wanted to tell me how bad they may have been affecting me. But I do remember my parents actually saying, what do we do with him? I mean, look at him. He's in great shape. He goes to the gym. He gets his notes done. I mean, his cars are clean. His house is spotless. He's got a mansion. He's paying the bills. I mean, what do we say to him? What do we do? And then so they try to go at me from the money standpoint. They said, here's what you're wasting in money. You're spending this kind of money, bro. And we were like, yeah, and I was like, well, I don't care. I mean, I feel great. I'm pulling it off. So I was a extremely good, functionable addict, Steve. And I don't know why. I don't know how, but I really was. I didn't miss a workout. I told you before we talked about this. I ate perfectly. Beer gets the blame of the belly. It's got nothing to do with it. It's how you eat after that beer. I ate perfectly after we drank. And that's why I stayed lean. I was drunk and summed up and pilled up through the entire run, and I looked incredible on TV. So you got to realize it does come down to you are what you eat, and beer gets the blame, God bless it, for all these things, and it's not the reason. It really isn't. It's because you get screwed up, and you go to Crystal, you go to Dairy Queen, and it's not that. We still stay with the chicken breast and the broccoli and the gym, and we didn't miss. And me and Luger were machines, man. We did not miss. So we stayed afloat. And don't get me wrong, we finally lost touch. But for 5 years, we kept it in order.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Hey, man, do you own or rent your home? Sure you do, and I bet it can be hard work. You know what's easy? Bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. So y'all are kind of partners in crime on this thing. So you guys are running hard together. You're training hard together. You never missed a gym. When you got the munchies, you ate clean. Dude, what did management think about you? I mean, because obviously you had to be in some kind of altered state. I mean, there had to be some glazed over eyes or dilated pupils. Everybody had to know something.
I really didn't start hearing it at first. Either they were lying to me, or they didn't see it at first, but then I did start hearing, like Steiner would see me and go, "You're fucked up." And I just took it like a couple of somas, and I go, "What are you talking about?" And I lie and go, "What do you mean?" No? So they did start seeing it, and they did start seeing the slur, and I started losing more and more touch of it. And so like anything else, a good thing ends up being a bad thing, but for a long time we were able to control it. But yes, but what could they do? The catch was the way I looked, Steve. The way I looked, they were like, well, how do we fuck with him? Look at him. And then they were like, God, he's never fucked up during his matches. He's perfect.
And sometimes seeing a shiny car with a great paint job make you think it's a great car, but once you start turning it over and looking at it, there can be a lot of problems. What was the eye-opening experience for you, that come to Jesus moment where you said, hey, man, I got to clean my ass up?
The come to Jesus moment with me, Steve, was the DUIs. I started getting DUIs, and I started, like I would have the amount of somas I used to take. I could take those one day and be fine, and the next day I'd fall in my food on the exact same amount of somas. So I couldn't control them no more. In rehab, they call that the invisible line. I had crossed the invisible line to where it wasn't fun to party no more. It was mandatory. I was now hooked to where I was having to take pills to function, to keep going, to keep moving, but I was already doing that anyway with sleep apnea. So I literally have gone to 5 rehabs in my life, but I've only gone to 1 with my sleep machine. And after that, I came home completely off drugs and doing the best I've ever done in my life, which is now.
And you can see more of that story in Mark Bagwell's documentary, The Good, the Bad, and the Buff, the Mark Bagwell Journey. It just came out on Saturday, and Mark's going to tell us about the horrific car accident he got into a few years back and share some stories about his traveling buddy, Lex Luger. Let me ask you a question. I was talking to Dale Wilkes a couple of months ago. He was very forthcoming about his Vicodin and Soma addiction and the numbers. And the question that I didn't get to ask him that I want to pose to you is, back in the day, it was a lot easier to get things when you needed them.
Sure.
Obviously, when you're taking the amount that you're taking, no doctor in his right mind is going to prescribe this kind of shit. But because, you're eating them like candy. How are you getting all these fucking pills?
Do you remember Dr. Aston?
Yeah, there's a couple of them I remember.
Dr. Aston was the Benoit doctor that, he went out, and so Dr. Aston was Hal. And God bless him, he's still in prison probably. But and believe it or not, it's not over pills. I think it's over the gas. But Benoit went to Dr. Aston's office the day of his start of the family thing, and he came home and killed his wife, killed his kid the next day, killed himself the next day. And Dr. Aston just went and seen Dr. Aston, so he was full-fledged, 100% the reason of Dr. Aston's fall. God bless him.
Well, let me ask you something, dude. When you go get these prescriptions filled, okay, you've got your source, and he's writing the scripts. So on paper, you're legal. But, dude, when you're taking the amount that you were, these pharmacists got to be looking at you like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah, they all knew we were drug addicts. They all knew I was a drug addict. But the problem is we had Dr. Aston to where there were about 12 Bagwells. So my father and my mother helped me adjust it and juggle it the way I needed to keep it the right way and to keep me, what I needed to have, and Luger. And it just helped us out the way we had to get it done. And with all that said, keep in mind, a script is 120. That's 4 a day, brother. I was taking 40. Where does that come from? That's ridiculous. So, long story short, we had to, say, hey, how do we do this? And my parents somehow was able to maneuver, switch it, have enough Bagwells under Aston's, his paperwork, and we made it work legally.
I got a question for you. There was this story about Lex Luger on the side of a highway, passed out. A trooper comes up, taps on his window with his hand or his light, a flashlight or whatever. Luger starts the car and drives off. Obviously gets pulled over right after that. He pulls over. But my question to you is you guys were hanging out with each other, and did you start to see each other's problems? Did one of you ever say to the other one, hey, dude, man, it's kind of getting heavy. Maybe we need to slow down? What was that relationship like? Because, we're kind of partners in crime, and it's always kind of fun to get a buzz with somebody, but you surely had to realize, man, I'm fucked up. I got problems.
Yeah, well, both of us did that. Exactly what you said is what both of us did. We were going through our problems at the exact same time. I've got 5 DUIs in 10 years, Steve, and out of all 5 DUIs, none of them are alcohol. None of them. None. The first thing the judge said is, how do you possibly have 5 DUIs and none of them alcohol? I said, because I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I had prescriptions. I was taking my prescription medicine. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I wasn't going to the club, getting drunk, going and, cranking up a bomb and driving a car off called a bomb and trying to kill somebody. I said I was trying to do the right thing. I was trying to juggle my, addiction along with my injuries and trying to do the right thing. And that's why I don't have any alcohol DUIs. They're all medicine DUIs. But during that time of Luger, like for example, Luger that day, verbatim, Luger that day you're talking about, went by McDonald's and he called me. And I said, Lex, because with somas, you can't eat. If you eat, it kicks in the somas and then you go out.
You're 100% correct.
And I said, Lex, please don't eat till you get home. Please. And he goes, I won't. I said, Lex, please, just come back over here, eat over here, sleep over here. Don't eat, buddy. He said, but you know how that is. You get in the car, he starts smelling the hash browns. He takes a bite of those hash browns and was all over the road. And so just as he left my house, God bless him, I tried my best to get him not to leave, and he left anyway. And I don't feel guilty about it at all because I really tried to help him. I said, don't leave. Please stay here. I said, Judy will go get us something to eat. Don't worry about that. I said, don't do it, and he just refused. And then when he got in the car and he smelled those hash browns, he took a couple bites of hash browns, and there it was, nod, out.
And, dude, that was the thing, and I'm not trying to give anybody. Mark mentioned a hell of a combination, way too many, and I would never recommend anybody take any kind of prescription pills like this, but the alcohol did kick those things in, and that was the thing, man. You get a couple of drinks in you, empty stomach, take the pills, and then put a hamburger, cheeseburger on top of them. That was kind of the plunger effect.
I mean, God bless him, Brad Armstrong, God rest his soul, that's what he shot for. We didn't shoot for that. We ate because we had to eat because we were bodybuilders. So to be a pillhead bodybuilder is really hard to do because you got to fit in your protein. So to be empty stomach is where you get your buzz.
Yep.
But if you're not empty stomach, you don't get your buzz. So you got to find that empty stomach and then fill it back up with protein. And at the same time, it's a big juggling act. It's very hard and very tough. And with Lex, same thing. It was time to eat. So he thought, let me go ahead and just eat right quick, get this in. And I was like, don't do it, brother. Don't do it, please.
He's had a lot of problems as of late, and now he's in a wheelchair. Is he doing any better? Do you maintain a close friendship with the guy?
Just talk to him. Just invited him, to the documentary coming up. And just really God bless him. He's in a wheelchair. And, he don't even look like Lex. And for me to sit at home as a child and watch Lex Luger on TV, the total package, and then be on TV with the total package as a world tag team champion, and then all of a sudden the total package is in a wheelchair, my heart, no matter how good his faith and walk is with the Lord, it just crushes me. And I've talked to him about this. I love him so much, and I'm so proud of him. But still, it bothers me because he was the total package, Steve, and you know that. And for him not to be the total package no more bothers me, and it upsets me.
Hey, man, let's talk about one more thing. I wanted to talk about your car wreck, which you injured your neck. Damn near the same date you had your first accident. You had this wreck in 2012.
It was the exact same day, dude.
14 years later, right?
Yeah.
So, I want to ask you about this wreck, and then I want to finish up the conversation with a couple of high notes and maybe some fun stories, just a couple of quick stories from the road, because you dropped some heavy 411. But dude, according to just reading my research about you, you made a call into your wife because you felt like you were going to have a seizure. What happened to you when all of a sudden you had your wreck?
A lot of people don't know this, but what happened was I had a manager named Hamilton Taylor, and he lived off West Paces, and he was very wealthy and a great guy, and he remembers wrestling being millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of people, and all of a sudden when he got into it with me, he's going to shows where there's 500 people and taking Polaroid camera money and it's just ridiculous, it's back to the independence. So it really bothered him. Here's a multi-billionaire that's retired. So, I got him to get in. He was gung-ho. And, I got him to jump on board. And so when he came on board, he was real excited, and everything. But then, at the same time, Hamilton was he was very, very hurt that it was not the same. And it wasn't the same no more, So he ended up dying. And he got into drinking real bad. I go to rehab come back, the one rehab I told you about, going with my sleep apnea machine, I come back for the first time 100% shoot, totally clean. Sleep apnea clean for the first time ever. 5 rehabs, 4 of them were without the sleep apnea, 1 was with. I come back ready to go. And come back, and he's a stone cold, no offense, stone cold drunk. And I'm like, what in the hell? Come on, bro. So I try to fix him. Well, you know how that goes. Before it's over, I'm back on the pills and back on partying too.
Oh.
Well, a week later, he falls in his house and bites his tongue so bad that it's unbelievable. His tongue is like I can't even explain it, bro, to the point that he needs to go to the hospital. So I go down and check on him, and he's like, bro, I said, what? I said, dude, you've got to go to the hospital. And he's one of those guys that didn't do that. And I said, bro, you got to. So he goes, nah, I'm fine, you know. So I go home. He calls me back 2 days later. He goes, something's wrong with me. I don't feel good. Will you come down here and just hang out with me? I said, sure. Left right where I was at, went straight down to his house, West Places Ferry Road. Called my wife, told her I was going down there. She goes, no problem, go check on him. I'm worried about him too. I went down there, checked on him, and you know, he ate a meal, which takes away concussion. He no headache, which takes away concussion. He went to sleep. I checked on him through the night, which takes away concussion. And so the next morning he gets up. I say goodbye to him. I go to the gym. That night I call him, no answer, which is pretty rare. And I was like, well, you know, that's pretty rare, but not that big a deal. Not that big a deal, but pretty rare. And then the next morning, nothing. So I went and worked out and went straight to his house and walked in. He was sitting in his chair. And I said, hey, Hammy, what's up, bro? His name was Hamilton. We called him Hammy. I said, hey, Hammy, what's up, buddy? And he didn't answer. And as I walked over and turned the alarm off, I can see that I don't first think he's dead. I think he's asleep or passed out, drunk. And as I get closer to him, he's got that pasty look. And as I reach to him and grab his wrist, it is that ice cold that nobody can possibly explain to you unless you've grabbed a dead person before. It is beyond belief ice cold. And I just broke into tears. I've never broken into tears in my life over nothing. I break into tears and uncontrollable tears and don't know what to do and see all the veins in his neck and everything. And he's sitting there with a buff Bagwell hat on. Yeah. And so long story short, he died of what they call medically a brain hematoma. So he died. I watched them come down and zip him up in a blue bag. Talking about bizarre. Here's a billionaire getting zipped up in a blue bag and getting thrown around. And they didn't know that I knew he was getting cremated. So they were like, well, they're getting ready to zip him up. And I said, well, don't zip him up yet. I'm not going to see him again. So I touched him for a minute, and with everybody watching, firemen and policemen and everything else, I put my hand on him, cry a little bit, and do a little prayer, and that was it. So I get mad that I'd only been, back unclean for 2 weeks. So I just get back totally clean again, thinking, I've only been back on pills for 2 weeks, I'll be fine. Well, it wasn't fine. I had a withdrawal seizure. And that's when I called 911, driving around, had a seizure, and drove around with my Jeep not knowing, and flipped my Jeep and had my wreck, which was the exact day 14 years later. So he died on the 12th, and I had my car wreck, April 22nd or 23rd, whatever it was. It was the exact same day 14 years later. And they said because of me having the plates and screws, it helped me out this time.
You're listening to another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show, only on PodcastOne.
Hey, man, do you own or rent your home? Sure you do, and I bet it can be hard work. You know what's easy? bundling policies with Geico. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your auto policy. It's a good thing, too, because you already have so much to do around your home. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. It's Geico easy. Visit geico.com today. That's geico.com. So what you get a broken neck in a crash? You crushed your face? Or had your jaw wired shut?
Broke jaw, broke nose, broke my occipital bone, my right occipital bone. I had my entire face they thought would heal itself, but it was all the plates were broke. So they literally, the doctor came to my mom and goes, by the looks of things, this kid's a good-looking kid, obviously. I need a picture to put him back together.
Ugh.
So I said, I told my mom, I said, make it a good picture. So, please get a good picture. Yeah, so he comes back with a good picture, and she puts me back together, not knowing what I look like, because here I am all black and blue, and my face is as big as a basketball. So she pushed me back together and did a great job, and I literally got one scar over my nose from it.
So did you come out of that? You get back on the pain pills? I mean, because obviously you beat the shit, or what's the process then?
As soon as I came back, straight back to the drug addict. And then my mom, as cool as we are together, she's watching me snort a Roxy one day. And she says, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean? I mean, I'm back hooked again." And she's like, "Well, why don't you go back to Suboxone?" And I went, "Oh, yeah, I forgot about that." So I went right back on Suboxone, and that's what I do. I do 1 or 1.5 Suboxone a day, and I live a great normal life, being totally sober with Diet Mountain Dews now.
Dude, what does your wife think about all the trials and tribulations you've been through, and how long has she weathered this storm with you? And obviously, you guys are very, very close, but you've had an interesting run. 14
years of her, putting up with a lot, and that's one thing that's really, one thing that I was hard for me with what's gone on in my life since then. But one thing that really had to pay a lot of time to that was, her putting a lot of time into that, and me wanting to make sure that, she was taking, that she had the right thing done with her, and because she really stuck by me when nobody else should. Nobody else should have. And so she's a fixer, to answer your question. She's a fixer. And so she stayed with me because she is a nurturer. She's a dog lover. She's a fixer. And so she stayed with me to fix me. And that was her deal. So she got off on it, and it was a way to do it, and we got it done.
Hey, dude, you're still up and active on the indie scene. How is the indie scene these days?
Believe it or not, really well. I still do it. I'm still in about 8 cities a month, and really stay very busy. Good crowds. Still doing unbelievably well in gimmick sales, which shocks me, which really tells the real true tale on how many pictures you're really selling, and selling the pictures in the same towns. And, just really staying afloat, and just very happy about it. And, with the shoulders got me down, Steve, a lot because it hurts me so much. But I think after the shoulder, I'll hop right back in and be ready to go.
At 44, I always talk to guys and, about exit strategies. And I know when I had to get out of the business because of my neck, I didn't have an exit strategy. And I drank for 3 years, and I hunted and fished, and I drank a lot and made a lot of stupid decisions. And I went out and started doing some reality television, low-budget movies and shit like that. And so that I didn't really have a strategy. Do you ever think there'll come a day when you'll look at yourself in the mirror and you say, "Hey, Buff, man, it's time to go do something else"? And if that time ever comes, what would you imagine that you would be doing?
That time has came, and it's been about more like a year ago. That time has came, and you're exactly right and explained perfectly. But about a year ago, I started switching from A to B. But Steve, as you know, switching from A to B from where we've been. A to B is A to Z. And I'm trying to go from A to B and doing very good at doing so. I'm with a company called APS, Nutrition, which is huge. And they really take care of me tremendously. I'm also, doing a lot of, some low budget stuff too with the movie stuff with Jay Purvis Talent Agency in Atlanta, which is great. I'm just trying to do what you're exactly the same thing you did. I'm trying to switch from A to B. And from A to B sounds very easy. But from the A that we were at, B is a big deal, bro. And I'm doing that now.
Dude, are you still riding bikes?
I still do. I got a real good bike. I bought a brand new one and just love it. I got a Fat Daddy chopper. It's a Borgette, and it's real pretty, man. I really love them. I love bikes a lot.
Well, the good, the bad, and the buff came out on Halloween. It's the Mark Bagwell journey. If you haven't gotten it, you got to go check it out. Mark, we've just glazed over some of the things you've been through in your life. What else can people expect out of this DVD, out of this documentary, this docu-shoot?
There is so much more that people really do not understand or have no idea what went on. Even shooting my father. But without going into detail, how many people shoot their father at 16 years old? There's a hell of a story behind it. Just for that alone, it's unbelievable. But, the Golden Glove State Championship and everything else. So I beg everybody to buy the DVD. You go to realbuffbagwell.com and you can buy that DVD. I mean, that Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Real Buff Bagwell, all social media is just on fire right now for me, which is great. And let's just really have somebody to follow me and take it in. Instagram is really hot right now for me because of the APS and everything else. Buy the DVD. I'm telling you, it really does tell it all, Steve. We just covered a fraction, and I really appreciate your time, and I love you as a friend and what you've done for me here, period. I've really enjoyed talking to you, but, man, this is something you want to see.
And there's a million things we didn't cover. The gigolo stuff is a hot topic. That's been gone. He's going to cover that. He's going to cover a lot of stuff. But just before we trail off here, Mark, what's in the future for you? What you got coming around the corner?
Well, what's coming around the corner is, to be honest with you, Steve, is that talking about what we talked about with the A to B.
Yep.
And my shoulder surgery. I've got to do my shoulder.
You got it on the books yet? What's the schedule?
November 19th.
Okay. That's right around the corner.
November 19th. It's around the corner. I've got to get that done. And from there, I'm just, hoping the DVD goes great. And whether it does or does not, which we're hoping it does, it's just time to start switching from A to B like we talked about. And that's what I'll be doing, is going from A to B with Jay Purvis, the documentary, and just with Kevin, my manager. We're just going from A to B and doing the best we can.
Now, this documentary has been some time in the making. How long of a process was it? Because and it's about running time's about an hour 40. You got any bonus features in there? How long did it take to put this thing together?
It is it's exactly 1 hour and 40 minutes, and it is my life, my ride in an hour and 40 minutes. But at the same time, this thing took a good 2 years. And Steve, I don't know why I did it. I guess we talked about this at the very beginning of this, but my mom, we were very big about keeping I've got things that will blow your mind on video. I videoed my entire life, Steve. And, I mean, from every little funny thing to football games to baseball games to funny things, and also with pictures. My mom was great about it, and it transpired over to me. And I was great about keeping up with pictures. So every story we've got a video and a picture to prove it in the DVD.
Hey, man, you got to check it out. I'm looking forward. You got to send me a damn copy of it because we can talk about it again after it comes out.
You're all over it. It's great.
All right, man. Hey, it's good talking to you. I appreciate you, talking 2 hours. Again, we talked last week, and the documentary came out about a week ago as this The documentary came out about a week ago as this part of the podcast airs, and obviously we touched upon it right before the release date. I'm looking forward to getting my copy of it. Sign the sumbitch for me. I ain't an autograph, Mark, but goddamn it, I'm going to go get a goddamn copy of it, and looking forward to popping it in my DVD player and checking it out, see some of the hijinks. Hey, nobody tells a story like Buff Bagwell.
I really appreciate that, Stephen. Please remember, the title says it all, and it is the good, the bad, the buff. And I'm telling you, the Mark Bagwell journey is what says it all, because I am Mark, Steve, and you know that. I'm Mark.
Hey, dude, have you ever thought about before? Let me cut you off. Have you ever thought, dude, you're lucky to still be here, because so many of our damn our buddies, our brothers, have went by the wayside due to the road. I went down a parallel road, but the road you went down, dude, there's not a whole lot of survivors.
Well, let me ask you this, Steve. How many guys do you, and if you know this, I'm sure you do, how many guys have you wrestled that died?
Oh, man, a shit pile.
Do you have a number?
Oh, man, no, man, I don't count them. I don't count them. I'm just always sad when another one leaves.
I did.
How many you got?
72.
72?
72 guys I've wrestled that are dead. Not met, hear me out, and the listeners listen, not met them, not shook their fucking hands. I locked up and wrestled with them.
72?
I swear to God on my life.
Dude, you know you could have been 73.
I should have been 73, Steve. And that's the point of this documentary. It's a happy ending.
All right, it's a happy ending, and the dude's cleaned up. And, hey, man, we talked about pills during this thing. And, hey, man, don't ever try none of this shit at home.
No.
This is some of the things that some of these guys, or, some of the things that I went through or Mark went through as the other guys, I don't ever recommend you try them. This is just some of the stuff that we went through and some stuff that we talk about. But, hey, man, don't put yourself down a one-way dead-end street.
No, yeah, absolutely not. It's definitely not something that I would... What happened to us, Steve, is the same thing that we didn't know would happen. Was, we tried it and it was fun, and then when it becomes not fun, and it becomes not fun real quick, it becomes a job. And the job was you didn't want to get sick. And when that becomes the job you don't want to get sick, it's a job that nobody wants, and it's called the monkey on your back. So please hear this documentary, and let me tell you, please don't go down that road. Stay clean, stay straight, keep your life right. And don't be like Buff was, and just do what you got to do to get through life. Life's tough enough as it is. Don't make it tougher, and just have a good time in life.
And that's the bottom line, because you said so. I'm signing off. Wood Marcus, Buff Bagwell. It's been good talking to you.
You too, brother.
Thank you for joining us for another classic episode of The Steve Austin Show. Please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends. For more Steve Austin Show, go to PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
Support for this podcast comes from Pluto TV. Need an escape? Drop into Pluto TV for a world of free TV. Stream hundreds of channels and thousands of movies and shows all for free. Yeah, free. No subscriptions, no fees. Imagine 24/7 channels of Narcos, CSI, Star Trek, Survivor, and everything else from hit movies to binge-worthy TV shows, the latest news, live sports, comedy, and more. What are you waiting for? Download the free Pluto TV app for Android, iPhone, Roku, and Fire TV and start streaming now. Pluto TV. Drop in, watch free.
7 years ago, college wrestler Damian Hurd disappeared from a party in Gunnison, Colorado.
Everyone had been drinking or whatever, the usual party scene.
When, how, and why he left are questions I need your help to understand.
Nobody's heard from him.
No, it's just like he disappeared.
From Cold Case Productions and PodcastOne, Final Days on Earth, The Life and Death of Damian Hurd. I'm your host, Claire Sandomal. Join me April 20th for the season premiere.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy, Big Brother Jake, a.k.a. Jake Warner, my government name. Check it out. I host a show called the Big Brother Jake Podcast, and I've taken my talents to the biggest and baddest platform on the planet. That's right, baby, PodcastOne. My show is unique as I talk about everything. Life, sports, entertainment, being a single dad juggling several jobs. I'm a hot mess, but it's damn entertaining. Subscribe and review now on Apple Podcasts and listen on PodcastOne or wherever you get your podcasts.